So you're exactly right. We just closed actually $110 million Series D, which we announced yesterday, which is a very exciting time for VidMob and for all of our employees. Um, and this is all about bringing in resources to accelerate us on the path that we're already on. Right. So I guess 5 years ago, we essentially invented the idea of creative intelligence and using data to understand how creative decision making actually ties to performance in marketing assets. And we've seen that now kind of grow into a category, and we're working with a pretty large number of marketers all over the world. And hopefully this will give us the resources to accelerate that path, make our data systems even better and deliver more value to our clients and partners.
Now, before going into some of the bigger issues facing your company and the broader industry, I just wanted to ask you a bit more about your company and what kinds of stuff you do. A lot of people may not completely understand ad tech or the ecosystem. So could you just please give us a brief explainer of how VidMob works?
Sure. So VidMob was sort of born based around the idea that as we move from a static internet, sort of primarily text and images, to a video internet, that there was going to be sort of like creative friction everywhere. That it was just going to become more and more difficult for marketers to communicate effectively. And so our first order of business was building a technology platform to help folks sort of scale their creative and build the creative that they needed to succeed on each of the individual platforms that they're going to be communicating on. So recognizing that Instagram is actually quite different than Snap, is quite different than TikTok, than Amazon, et cetera. And so you need to kind of create specifically for each if you want to maximize your performance on those. And so that was sort of like the early part of the business, was building out that software to help marketers sort of scale creative. From there, though, we started to realize that as we were getting now performance information back from our platform partners, so think of the Metas and Googles and Amazons, et cetera, that we could actually see how every piece of creative was performing. And in 2017, we started realizing, well, if we could actually build a machine learning technology to sort of programmatically understand what's happening inside every ad. So if there are words on screen, how quickly are they, pacing across the screen, and what words are they? If there's words being spoken, are they related or dissonant to what's being talked about? Where and when are trademarks and logos coming in, and are they easily recognizable, or are they sort of blurring into the background? What are the emotions on the actors and actresses' faces? And much, much more. All of this is really just data. And so we built systems to sort of chronicle all of that creative attribute information, and then we can compare it to the performance, the clicks, purchases, likes, ROAS, all of that stuff. And when you do that across one ad, it's sort of interesting. When you do it across millions, it's really interesting. And so today, now sort of 6 years into building that, we've literally analyzed trillions of impressions, and are able to go back to marketers with really specific information about how different creative decisions are actually helping or hurting performance. And so that's sort of where we are today, where we've essentially built kind of a loop where our data systems surface insights to help marketers understand creative decision making. But every insight is not just data for data's sake. It's actually clickable. It creates a project, and then you have a new piece of creative based on that data that you can put in market like literally the next day. And so it's all about like learning and improving, and basically building and sort of bringing the optimization that we've expected on the media side for years now. Like everyone expects to optimize their media and their audiences and everything, for years. But creative has always been the far more important part of results. Google says it's 70% of results. Well, now we're enabling clients and marketers to start to optimize that far more important piece.
That's really interesting, and I'd imagine you've seen quite a bit of disruption in the 6 years that the company's been in operation. Most recently, we've seen Apple introduce app I'm sorry, app tracking transparency. And Google has been talking about, ending support for third-party cookies. That got pushed back. We've seen that. We have the economic climate. So what kinds of things do you see as important in the next 6 months to a year?
It's a great question. I mean, and these are like truly tectonic shifts, right? Like if you think about sort of the ad tech industry as a whole, and the literally like thousands of companies that exist in the Lumascape, they're almost all focused on the media side. And so, how do we use technology to improve our audience segmentation, our targeting, our budget allocation, all of those things. What's happened now is that as we move into a more sort of privacy-centric world, and as Apple pushes out ATT, and now Google reciprocates with the sort of pending move away from cookies, we've sort of seen like the whole system lose effectiveness as we kind of move into kind of a signal loss world. And so if in a sense this is kind of like a seesaw and the media side is going down, it really leaves only one option, where if someone wants to regain or maintain the performance they had, they simply just have to now have their creative be smarter. It has to work harder. It has to drive better results. And so in so many of the conversations that we're having with marketers today, they're coming to us and saying, hey, I'm losing effectiveness on a lot of the investments that I've been making over the last decade. And I now need to start investing more heavily in the creative side of my allocation so we can be smarter and drive better results from that.